Hi, my name is Grace Solomon. The topic for my Unit 16 assignment is Human Immunity. Section 1. Non-specific defense against disease. First and second line of defense. When a microbe, often referred to as a pathogen, enter the body and damage it, infection results. Various organisms are responsible for causing infection as well as bacteria, viruses, a parasite, and fungi. Bacteria. These are tiny single-celled microorganisms which produce when there is an excessive burden of potentially harmful bacteria on or within the body. Viruses are tiny organisms that can only exist inside of a living cell. A parasite is a living entity that can only exist that feeds on or even inside its host and does so at the expense of or addition to the host. Fungi. This is a type of eukaryotic organisms such as animals and plants, is referred to as fungus and is member of the kingdom fungi. Transmission procedures. In transmission procedures, we've got direct contact and indirect contact. Direct contact occurs when an infected person makes direct touch with another infected person. Direct contact includes things like kissing, touching, engaging in sexual activities, and coming into contact with bodily tumors on the skin. Indirect contact. This occurs when there is no direct person-to-person touch contact, therefore occurs when a poo comes into contact with contaminated things or with pests like bed bugs, flies, mosquitoes, dogs, or rodents. The moment an infected person coughs or sneezes, contagious droplets are released into the air. Insect bites. Insects, especially those that suck blood, transmit a few extremely dangerous infectious pathogens. These insects include mosquito and bed bugs. Insects become infected by feeding on an infected host, such as animals or humans. As a result, when an insect bites a new host, the disease is transmitted. Food contamination is simply defined as damaged food, such as raw food or unclean fruit and vegetables that has become contaminated because of the existence of microorganisms such as bacteria, for instance. The three defense lines are non-specific innate defense. Act uniformly against all pathogens without making a distinction between different types of infection. Pathogens entry is restricted by physical and chemical controls in the first line of defense. In the second line of defense, non-specific reactions include the flu, inflammatory response, complement protein, and cytokines. Barriers to infection. First line of defense. Composition of the skin. The integumentary system, which includes the skin, hair, and nails, is one of its three basic components. The epidermis is the skin's outermost layer. Underneath the epidermis is dermis. The subcutaneous layer shapes the inner segment. Second lines of defense. Infection and the significance of inflammatory response. Skin infection or damage frequently causes an inflammatory reaction. The inflammatory response is a set of cellular events that occur as part of the immune system naturally responds to injury. The main physical impact of the inflammatory response is caused by excessive mobility all around the infection sites. Blood arterials distort specifically around inflammatory area, allowing more blood to flow to the region. Because of increased blood circulation, inflammatory region of the body stay warm. Section 2. Specific immunity. The third defense is acquired immunity. Acquired immunity is defined as immunity that develops as a result of exposure to a specific agent during the course of a disease or as a result of receiving antigen through vaccination. The acquired immune system. It has been established that acquired immunity does not exist as birth. The learning process starts whenever an individual immune system encounters invading forces and accepts foreign chemicals, because it specifically targets an antigen that has already been encountered. Acquired immunity is sometimes referred to as specific immunity. Its abilities to learn, change, and recall information set it apart from other systems. White blood cells, called lymphocytes, are responsible for developing immunity. T cells and also B cells. T cells may develop from stem cells in the bone marrow that have gone through the thymus gland, a chest organ. T cells, lymphocytes, are divided into three types, which are T cells that assist, T cells that are cytotoxic, T cells suppressors. B cells are made in the bone marrow and have receptors on their edge, which may allow antigen to link. Antibodies are unique proteins found in bodily fluids and the immune system that circulates within the bloodstream. Self-recognition and tolerance. Self-recognition and tolerance is the immune system ability to recognize self-produced antigens as non-threats while accurately reacting to external entities. For healthy psychological processes as well as overall welfare, there must be a balancing act between immunological defense and self-tolerance. Two specific immune system disorder. These are various kinds of autoimmune disorder. I will focus on the rheumatoid arthritis and type 1 diabetes. Rheumatoid arthritis is a type of hypersensitivity that mostly affects the joints, making movements unpleasant, as well as the joint swelling and heated. Rheumatoid arthritis can have period of improvement, followed by period of deterioration. When it was, it is referred to as flare-up. When it is better, it is referred to as remission. The fourth category of hypersensitivity includes type 1 diabetes, an autoimmune disorder that develops when the immune system draws the body insulin-producing cells. Severe thirst, frequent urinations, and excessive weight loss are some signs of type 1 diabetes. Sadly, there is an increased risk of developing further autoimmune disorder. Which one is present? The cause of this is unclear. A blood test would be required to identify the antibodies that the patient body is producing in order to make an autoimmune illness diagnosis. Since AL disorder can affect different parts of the body, getting a blood test is significantly more beneficial than treating the symptoms. The focus is on managing and treating the symptoms of an autoimmune disorder in order to keep it under control, since there is no cure for it. As we all know that required immunity is something we may develop over time, but it can also be divided into passive and active immunity. Passive immunity is how the body has responded to infections that it has already encountered over the course of a lifetime. Passive immunity occurs when we obtain antibodies from somewhere else. What are the two ways we can get active immunity? These are naturally and artificially. The self-reliant antibodies that humans produce in response to an illness or disease are referred to as natural immunity. Artificial immunity occurs when we are exposed to a variety of illness as a result of vaccination in order to develop antibodies. While it takes some time for active immunity to develop, once it does, it often lasts us our whole lives. There are two ways to gain passive immunity, which are natural and artificial. Antibodies that cross the placenta during pregnancy or through breast milk from a mother to a child after birth gives us natural passive immunity. When we take medication to get rid of our bodies, to get rid our body of toxins, such as antitoxins, we may be creating artificial passive immunity. Passive immunity differs from active immunity in that response usually happens right away, but usually does not endure very long. Section 3. The fascination of biology. The immune response to vaccination. Vaccination is a type of treatment that prepares the body immune system to fight a sickness that has never encountered before. Primary response occur after additional initial antigen exposure. The blood begins to produce specific antibodies only after an adaptation phase, which typically lasts a few days. Secondary response. The body produces a secondary response when a person repeatedly comes in touch with this antigen. It will be considerably stronger, develop more quickly, and require fewer antigen to elicit the response. Immunology memory is the immune system ability to respond more rapidly and effectively to previously encountered infection, which shows the existence of additional antigen specific cells in the body. Immunology memory and vaccines. Immune responses are induced by vaccines, and as a result, the body develops an immunological memory that helps it defend against infection or diseases. It has recently become possible to analyze the immune response in both humans and experimental animals, which has improved our knowledge of the molecular mechanisms that control the differentiation and maintenance of memory T and B cells. The concept of herd immunity, vaccination programs, and vaccine-related factors. Herd immunity is a kind of immunity that develops whenever a huge percentage of community or animal is immunized, offering some protection to those who have not yet developed immunity. Vaccination programs and factors that influence vaccine uptake. There are many factors that could influence whether or not people are willing to embrace a vaccine option for themselves and their children. The most important benefit of vaccination for people is protection from diseases and infections that could affect them and those close to them, as well as the knowledge that they have these safeguards. Because vaccination reduces disease transmission, people may benefit from the opportunity to help and protect everyone else in their society. The benefits of vaccination. The many benefits that vaccination offers to people of all ages, aside from particular susceptible groups like children, have led to their acceptance as standard medical practice around the world. Vaccination serves as a series for the body's immune system, preparing a person for situations that, if not protected against, may in fact pose serious or even fatal illnesses. Thank you.